It's about that time of day again here, boys and girls. Welcome back to your nightly newsletter. My name is Joseph James with your nightly newsletter for September 22nd, 2014. Welcome back. Welcome back. Hope you guys had a great quadruple witching traders holiday last week. We took the time last week to do some much needed updates to our website, as well as we do every quadruple witching, we take some time away from the desk, refocus, recharge the batteries, because we have the last quarter of 2014 is right in front of us right now. By far the best price action we're going to see all year, and boy, are these markets just getting warmed up. We have an exciting newsletter in store for you guys and gals this evening. Before we jump into our charts, I want to remind you guys to make sure you're watching this video over on our blog at sidewaysmarkets.com. If you're watching this video on our YouTube page or anything else besides our trading blog at sidewaysmarkets.com, make sure you follow the link below the video on our YouTube page and get on over here to our trading blog for 3 specific reasons. Reason number 1, right below tonight's video, you can download all of the charts that I've worked very hard on here this evening to show you what we're going to be looking at for tomorrow. So download a copy of your own charts. That way you're ready to rock and roll with me tomorrow morning in our live trade room or wherever you'll be trading. And again, you can follow that link right below the video to download those charts. The second thing, upper left-hand corner, I have a special invitation for you all to come out and join me in my live trade room. If you're not a member of School of Trade and you're curious how we use this newsletter every day to find the trend, find the setup, and find the entry pattern, I would love to share it with you guys in real time. Upper left-hand corner, you can get a copy or you can register for a free pass to attend our trade room. And of course, last thing, lower left-hand corner, I have an email list of all of the people for my newsletter. If you want to make sure you never miss another newsletter, just give me your name and your email address right above my ugly mug, and I'll send you a verification email. That way you can approve for me to send you the newsletter email every evening, right when it's published. So 3 things on our blog, guys. 1, download the nightly newsletter charts right below the video here this evening. 2, grab a free pass to attend our live trade room later on this week. And 3, go ahead and register for our newsletter mailing list. Now, when you register for the mailing list or you register for the free pass, I'm going to send you a verification email, so make sure that you check your email to make sure you verify that you got it. Then I'll start sending you those daily newsletters. Alrighty? Looking good? What happened today? We got 3 jobs here today. First, we'll talk about what happened today. Second thing, we'll take a look at the schedule for tomorrow. And third, we'll roll up our sleeves, we'll grab these charts, and be ready for whatever, right, these markets do tomorrow. By the end of tonight's newsletter, you'll be locked and loaded whether we go up, down, sideways, consolidating. If we go to the moon, you will be ready for it no matter what this crazy market throws at us tomorrow. Let's jump right in. First of all, as you can see here, we got the euro pushing lower. We continue to see this love triangle we got going on between the dollar, right? This dollar strength pushing down, of course, on that euro and vice versa. Now, with all this strength, the dollar, we're having, as of recently here, very bearish prices on gold, bearish prices on crude, and bullish prices on equities. Now, over the past 72 hours, though, there's been a lot of concern about the Chinese economy. Over the weekend, we heard from Beijing. They're possibly going to be readjusting their 2015 forecasts, and we're hearing a lot of people start to take this pretty darn seriously right now. Now, that kind of rippled into the markets today. Didn't really affect the larger equities too much, right? The S&P, the Dow, but boy, the technology stocks, the NASDAQ, and the Russell, right? Those small caps, those definitely got hit on the chin today. So for the most part right now, we're still okay long term here on the U.S. equities, but we're definitely seeing, again, that concern over China starting to show some ripples, right, throughout the week this week, and we'll be watching that closely here as we go. We finished up a relatively dismal month of August. We're starting to get all of these news reports that are coming out right now. Today we had a relatively poor housing number that came out. Again, over the weekend, the issues with China. Draghi is passing the hat around right now, asking for money at the EU. So all of a sudden here, this global economy starts to hit the skids a little bit. We've still got the majority of positive news coming out of the U.S. right now, but it's no shocker here. We're definitely going to be hearing more about China, and of course, there's nothing new about the issues happening in Europe right now. Definitely, they're trying to figure out how to solve that, the economic woes in Europe. So we're going to see how this plays out this week. As you know, though, I'm a technical pattern trader, so for me, I'm going to go out and say, what's my trend, where's my setup, and where's my entry pattern, no matter what the heck is happening out there. But very interesting here to see all of a sudden, front and center, we're starting to get, again, some concerns out of China and some concerns out of Europe. So you're going to be hearing about that throughout the rest of the week this week. I'm going to take a look at some important news coming out on our schedule later on tonight from China. So be ready. I'm going to talk about that at the end of the newsletter tonight. So we got a lot of important news starting this evening, right? It's going to be coming out of China as well. So a lot of eyes and ears are focused on Europe and China here as we speak. Looking at the euro, pushing lower. Looking at the dollar, pushing higher. Remember, that strong dollar is going to make equities really cheap. That strong dollar will make it difficult for crude to push higher. And, of course, the economic sentiment around the world right now clearly here, well, you'll see everything pretty much bearish. Let's start out here this evening looking at the Russell. What happened today? Boy, this Russell very, very quick here to fail here late in August, and then right back down we go. As you can see, the Russell really took it on the chin the most. As of recording this video right now, the Russell did have was the worst of all the E-minis today, because of course they're going to be smaller companies, right? The smaller cap size companies. So they're the first ones that will take a hit when people start worrying about items in Asia and items, of course, in the EU. One thing you can see right off the bat here on this Russell on the daily chart is that we are tucked right at the low of this potential wedge, as you can see right here. So you could call this oversold. You could call it sitting at support. Whatever you want to call it on the Russell, I call it not exactly the best place to want to be a seller right now. As I go down to my 64 anchor, you can clearly see here. Now, if I zoom out a little bit further, you can start to see. Now, I got a bunch of bonus charts for you guys to download, so make sure you download today's charts because you're going to see all the big picture charts here. But you can see, though, there's that trend line, right? We got some support hanging out down here. So we're well oversold right now on this Russell. And what my job on the Russell is going to be is to stay patient right now and wait and see if we can't get off these lows so I can get into a nice selling opportunity here tomorrow and later on this week on the Russell. This is my 64 anchor. So remember, this is about as slow as you're going to see me go on this. It may take a while to get from 19 to 45. I'm going to give you guys a bunch more opportunities that are a lot faster paced than this. But you can see, though, the big picture here. So what I always do is the 3 steps to success. What's my trend? My trend is down. Where's my setup? My setups here right now are going to be at 40.4, 52.5. We already tested our reversal line, right? We talked about that this morning in the trade room. So no real worries there. So really my biggest obstacle right now is we're getting lower lows. That's the easy part. But again, we're down near the lows of this bear channel. We know better than trying to force trade short at the lows of a bear channel or buying the highs of a bull channel. It can be very, very slippery. We've definitely got some key support here waiting for us at 15.9. We've got that trend line here. So we may end up collapsing a little bit further, but what I'm here to do is give you where the easy money is going to be. And right now we can easily see I've got my trend. That's easy. We're in a downtrend. I've got my setups overhead. That's easy. Where's my entry trigger? Well, I got to wait for price to get up into that setup, and then I'll look for an entry trigger. So come out and see me in the trade room, and I'll give you guys the real-time entries and exits on this. Now, we can do better than this, though, obviously, right? But that's where our slowest of anchor charts are going to have us looking for selling opportunities here. 1140.4 up to 1145.4. That'll be the earliest opportunity here for all you longer-term traders who are looking to be a little more conservative, but maybe want a trade that will last 3 to 5 days, right? So we can get up to that 1140 area. That'll be a nice long-term move back down from there. What I'm looking for, though, for all you day traders out there, as we zoom in a little bit closer here, here's a much closer look now, right, at that area. And you can see we've still got roughly the same levels here, but this gives you a lot more to work with now. What's my trend? Remember, 3 steps to success, right? Trend, setup, entry. What's my trend? It's bearish. How do I know? Well, I got lower lows. I've got lower highs. Pretty easy to see we're bearish on that. Easy thing would be the clouds are red and we're below all the clouds. So we're clearly bearish. Now, I know where I want to look for. I want to look for selling opportunities, but where? Step number 2 is find the setup. Right now, I have a marginal setup. Members, you guys know why, at 1134.3. The next setup is going to be pretty much the same one we get off that 64. I've got the 40.3 up to the 45.3. As you can see, it's 1 tick off from that 64, so, give or take a tick or two there. Won't be that big of a deal. I've got 1146 and then again 1152.4. Again, 1 or 2 ticks off there between the 32 and the 64. And the reason for that is these are range-based charts, so they're loading tick data, so it may be a little bit different from chart to chart. Bottom line, though, is right now, I know I'm bearish, but I'm well oversold here right now in the Russell. And even though we may see some scalps as we go lower here right now, my job here in this newsletter is to give you guys the easy money trading opportunities. And the next easy money trading opportunities here is going to be selling as early as at 1134.3 and as late as that 1156.7. All right, I get some targets for you down below. 1116.2, you can match that up with the 1115.9 off the 64, and of course the 1104 even. Don't forget that is a big round number at 1100 down there. So if we end up really cooking quickly through 1104, you can pretty much assume 1100 is going to be an easy target for you. All right, keep on moving. I've got my 32 anchor chart under control. What's up next? Looking for more opportunities here? Absolutely. So if you don't want to keep waiting, if you don't want to wait patiently, here's going to be the scalpers anchor chart here for tomorrow, right? So you'll notice we've gone right down the list, 64, 32, 16. That gives you long-term trades, medium-term trades, and now here's going to be your short-term trades here on the Russell. As you can see, again, 3 steps to success, no different. Doesn't matter what market or what time frame. What's my trend? Trend is down. How can I tell? Lower lows, lower highs, red clouds, below the moving averages. Easy peasy. What's my setup? Where's my next trade setup? You got it. Overhead, right? I get a trend line set up, channel set up. I have a trigger zone set up, 27.2, symmetry set up, 1130, and trigger zone, last chance trigger zone at 1131.8. Last possible scenario here would be a double top setup at 1135.2, right up towards the high of that range. But again, plenty of opportunities here, but we got to get moving higher. So step number 1, find my trend. Trend is down, want to be a seller. Step number 2, where's my setup? Setup's above us at the trend line, at the trigger zone, at the symmetry. Where's my entry pattern? Well, that part, let's come out and see me tomorrow morning in my trade room, or become a student here at School of Trade, and I'll teach you all the entry patterns that we use in combination with these setups. Okay, nice and easy on this. Again, the biggest concern that I see right now on the Russell is just a simple fact that we're oversold. And it's really easy to forget about all the rules that we abide by when it feels like you can't lose, right? Just keeps on tumbling lower. So again, stay patient. You might get away with it selling those lows when we're oversold every once in a while, but over the long run, though, probably not going to happen. As my good friend Richard Wyckoff always says, or always said, I guess I would say, you've got to know the trend, and then it's where are we in that trend. That's going to be one of the most important factors of following that trend. Now, moving forward here, from the Russell, which of course was the E-mini that got beat up the most today, now we move over to the gold. Now remember, gold is a shelter market. Gold is the fear market, right? This is the finger on the pulse. So clearly the slowdown in China, definitely not worrisome just yet. The issues they're having in Europe, clearly not getting gold excited right now. Now, there is a lot of headline news coming out of China talking about how they've got a new exchange opening up the next few weeks and how these economic woes may have them doing crazy things. So in the next few weeks, we may start seeing some pretty crazy price action here on gold. We'll wait and see. We're not going to worry about that. That'll be tomorrow's headache. We'll worry about this for today. Right now, though, we can easily see here's another market that is oversold, right? We're well below all the key moving averages. We got red clouds. We're clearly bearish. But what I'm wondering here is, are we going to reverse all that move from January, right? So January 1, 2014, we go all the way to 1400, literally to 1400, and now almost all the way back at where we began the process just 9.5 months ago. So very interesting here on gold. But again, I look at this gold and I say, okay, we clearly aren't that worried about what's happening out there right now, because if we were, this gold market would be pushing higher. So clearly concerns are not that much. Here is a great example though on gold right now. If you're a longer term trader, okay, if you're looking for moves that'll, get you into trades that'll last anywhere from 3 to 10 days, maybe a half a week to a week and a half, this is going to be a great chart for you. And you can see, again, this is my 64 anchor. This will be the slowest of the anchor charts here. This would be a great fit for somebody, again, who wants to take 1 or 2 trades a week, not 1 or 2 trades an hour. You can see here, I've got my 3 steps to success. What's my trend? Trend is down. How can I tell? I've got lower lows, lower highs, but in all reality, all I really care about is the color of that cloud, right? I've got red clouds. We're below all the key moving averages. We're clearly in a downtrend here right now on gold. If that's the case, then where would my setup be? Step number 2, where's my trade setup? Well, we got that lower low, so we're looking here for trigger zone setups. And we've got those up at 1278.2 and 1318.6, along with a channel setup as well. Okay, so we've got channel setups. I also, as you can see here, we also have what we call a trigger line setup as well at 62.7, right? We get the cross, we get the lower low, and you'll notice we have not tested what we call our BMT trigger line, right? That thick yellow moving average here. So you've got a sell setup at 62.7. Don't forget that is dynamic. That will be updated throughout the week as we continue trading this week. I've got a trigger zone set up at 78.2, a channel setup, right around 1300 or so, depends on when we get there, and of course a last call trigger zone at 1318.6. Again, very oversold right now on the gold, and you can see that's making for us have to wait a little bit patiently here on this. You can see we've got targets down here at the lows of this channel. This is a pretty easy channel to find. And then I have extension targets down here at 1190.7 and 1147.8. So we've got plenty of areas of support, not to mention, don't forget about that daily chart, which we found earlier here. That's going to put us right about, let's say, 1205 or so. Right, so 1205, not a bad level to remember, right? Keep that in mind here for later on this week. You're only about 10 points away from that, and that can easily happen, right, if we get this baby moving lower as we go. So keyword here though on gold is oversold, right? A lot of these things are oversold right now, which means we want to stay patient. Now it doesn't look like we have to stay patient very long. Now if you remember in my trade room earlier this morning, right, we gave you guys the sell zone at 1219 to 1221.5. So we just triggered that. And my exact words earlier today in our trade room was that you'd probably have to wait until later on in the day to get that sell zone to trigger. So what's my trend, right? 3 steps to success. First step, what's my trend? Trend is down. How do I know? Lower lows, lower highs, red clouds, below the clouds. What's my second step here? Find the setup. You guys are good. Where's my setup? I get a few of them here right now, as you can see, right? I've got a setup here at the 1219.1, which I talked about earlier to all of our students in the trade room. I've also got another trigger zone set up here at 1225 even. I'm going to call that a double top setup at 1229.5. And then a last chance trigger zone all the way up at 1235.8. Now, hidden inside of this, you'll see we have a trend line here. So these trend lines will continue to be sell opportunities as well. What's my third step? Trend is down, setups are plentiful overhead, got plenty of setups overhead. And then last but not least, what I'm looking for, the entry pattern. Come out and see me tomorrow morning in our trade room, and I'll walk you right on through how to find all the exact entries on that chart. Let's keep going. Moving here from the 32 to the 16, and you can see a lot more of the same here, right? A lot more of the same. I also want to remind you too here that we've got targets waiting for you. Sorry about that. Forgot about that earlier. I've got targets here at 1202.6. 1195.4, and we've got the 1186.2. Keep an eye on this 1200 area because you can see I have an extension down at 1202.6 and 1195.4, and then tucked right between the two, right, that's going to be that big round number of 1200. And we know that psychological levels like these big round numbers are mighty, mighty sticky as far as profit targets go. Here's a much better look at that chart from earlier today. And again, I'll repeat myself from what I just said on the 32. Here's my 16. What's my trend? Trend is down. How do I know? Again, lower lows, lower highs. I've got half of the clouds are red, right? Half the clouds are green. So you can see a little bit of a confusion there, but that's okay. We know the long-term trend is still down. Where's my setup going to be now? The second thing we're going to do is look for a trade setup. The third thing we'll look for is an entry pattern. So where would my setups be? Well, now, if you remember, guys, earlier on today, we talked about this being a zigzag. Remember this earlier? Remember zigzag? We talked about this morning in the trade room. So now we got that zigzag set up right into that trigger zone setup. So green light here right now to be selling short on gold, 1219 to 1221.4. I've got 1222 even for symmetry, and I've got 1224.8 for our last call trigger zone, as well as 1229.2, a lot of twos in that number, and that'll be a double top trade setup. All right, look out for that here because you guys get a green light right now to get short here on the gold. How about some targets going lower? I got 1208.8. That's the low of that range. I have the low of that trend channel. That'll be changing, obviously. That'll be a dynamic second target. Our third target down at 1200.6. Again, there's that big round number, and we got the 1195. So again, this whole area right here, I'd be very, very attracted to here right now because of that 1200 big round number. So again, be aware though, you've got gold considerably here oversold right now. So if we don't get this price to keep dropping, don't force it. Let it do its thing. Let it retrace off these lows. Again, this is why I give you multiple time frames. So you know if we start cooking higher here, you know that's not a bull trend. It's just they're going into that additional sell zone overhead. Markets cannot keep moving up or down without some consolidation, without some profit taking, right? Without a retracement on new lower lows or a pullback on new higher highs. So stay patient there on gold, and you've got yourself some selling opportunities there on the gold. So really, gold and Russell both kind of suffering from the same ailment right now. They're bearish, but they're well oversold. So we're trying to stay patient here for the easy money trades. I know there will always be ways to make money intraday, no matter what the market looks like in the big picture, right? But we're trying to make this as easy as possible for you guys to make profit with us so you can come in and join us tomorrow morning as a brand new student. Moving on here, last but not least, over to the crude oil futures. You can see here on our daily chart, boy, we've really been struggling. I mean, look at this price action over the past few weeks. I mean, literally just grinding lower. It has definitely been I want to say a challenge, because we made more money over the past 3 months on this drop. I mean, we made enough profit in the last quarter, in the last 90 days, to take us through the rest of 2014. So I definitely can't complain. But it could have been even easier, because you can see we're definitely feels like we're making 1 step forward, right? 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. So we're moving lower, but you can definitely tell though there's still that little bit of hesitation here from those buyers to walk away. Draw that trend line off the lows, and you can see we're running right into key support here down at the lows right now. Again, big thing right now is we can see we're in a bearish trend, but you got to assume there's going to be some support that comes in here. So let's investigate a little bit further here. Moving forward here on crude, we go down from the daily now to my 64. Now you want to go out and take a look at the big picture on this, because this is a pretty big, important trend channel we have going right now. This literally takes us all the way back to late June, early July. So I know it seems like not too long ago, but remember, it's almost October right now. So that's been quite a few months of just straight bearishness on the crude. Now remember, we get some pretty important fundamentals right now that are pushing crude oil lower. Fundamentals will include a strong dollar, right? Obviously a strong dollar here will push that price lower, because our dollar bills will buy more crude contracts, and it has that negative correlation to crude futures. Also, we have that global slowdown right now. Bad news in Europe, bad news in China, lukewarm news here in the U.S. over the past week or so. But overall, though, we've had some very good news in the U.S. So that is hurting the assumption or the perception of global demand on crude oil futures. So that's what's causing prices to keep falling here on crude, right? So that very strong dollar makes it easier to buy crude, which in turn makes prices go lower when things are in abundance. And then again, I think the biggest reason though is this concern over this global slowdown. We just simply don't have the expected demand when China and the ECB are telling us they're revising their growth targets. So that's what's causing, fundamentally at least, prices to keep going lower. Technically, we really haven't seen much of this, and this is a good example here. We've got this long-term downtrend, but you'll notice we made a lower low, but then what happened here? We couldn't quite get another lower low. We talked about that last week on the newsletter. And of course, we then went up, made a slight higher high, but couldn't make a higher high above that range. So now I'm thinking, okay, well, from what we know technically speaking, it looks like this might be what we call wedging out here, right? And it's consolidating, right? So we got lower highs, we got higher lows. Doesn't really do much right now, but basically what it will tell me tomorrow, if this is true, is that we got to be careful here trying to take those big runner profit targets. I'm still going to stay focused on the sell side right now on crude. Think about your 3 steps to success. What's my trend? Trend is down. How do I know? I'm below all the key clouds, right? I'm red. I can easily see we're not in a bullish trend, that's for sure. So if anything, it's a bearish with a slight tint of sideways or consolidation, right? That higher low right there tips you off. Then you combine that with your last chance trigger zone, and now we start getting those clues for a price wedge. remember, if you're a member of mine here at School of Trade, there is one number that I always look at when I start to think about this becoming a consolidated wedge. If you're a member of mine, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So we have this lack of lower lows, this lack of higher highs. We're still in a downtrend right now. Where are my setups going to be? That's going to be the hardest part for us tomorrow, especially if you're a brand new trader. So again, what's my trend? Trend is down. That's easy. Where's my setup? We're going to focus on the sell setups, which means I've got trend line, right? That'd be a channel setup. I have a trigger zone setup, which really is a wedge setup. If you're a member of mine, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And then we've got a previously tested 93.61 as well as a double top here at 94.80. So right now I've got sells at this trend line, at this wedge, at the trigger zone, and double top here at 94.80. Now be aware, 90.25 to 89.77, most likely going to be the Achilles heel here. If we get stuck in the mud and we can't go lower, yep, now you know there's your range. So come out and see me tomorrow. We're going to really be dialing in on this tomorrow because we're trying to pick up on the fact, is this going to continue to trend? If we get a lower low here overnight, absolutely we'll assume that. But if we don't get a lower low, then we got to wait here tomorrow and see if we really are in that strong downtrend that we had, of course, early in September, right? And of course, last week. So looking at crude here right now, we know we've got, well, bottom line is my setup, I've got to wait for that next. So we're going to wait for that setup coming up next. And that'll be up at 93.22. Now, what if you don't want to wait that long? What are your options right now? Well, remember, this is the danger zone now that we don't have that lower low. So as much as I want to say, green light, get selling short, you've really got to be concerned about that support level below you kind of spoiling the fun. Here's a better look at that chart. Here's a 32 anchor. And now you start seeing, you can kind of see where I was going with this, right? The bigger picture chart, long-term downtrend channel. Now you zoom in on the 32 and you can really start seeing where that range is going to be. This is always one of the hardest parts about being a day trader. The easy money was made up top here, right? When you have your sell setup. Trend is down. We want to sell at that 93.61 to 94.17. Again, that was where the easy money was made. And that's what I'm looking to identify here for us every night in this newsletter. Now what I'm looking for is I want a lower low. But look, I don't have a lower low yet. If I get a higher high, I can start looking for a reversal. No higher highs. So the big problem right now is I've got to stay patient. And when I see a price wedge like this, it reminds me, stick to what I know. I know the trend is down. The trend deserves the benefit of the doubt. So what I'm going to do is I'll look for selling opportunities here at the highs of this range. I've got 92.32. That's a reversal line short. I've got the trend line here. Depending on where we get to testing that area, it could be up at 93. It could be down at 92, right? That trend line, that'll be a sell zone there also. And then, of course, we got trigger zone, 93.22. Trigger zone, 93.61. And then don't forget, there's that double top that we'll want to look for as well. That'll be right around this 94 and 94.80. So we are still looking to be sellers here on crude. Don't forget that long-term trend is bearish. What I want to do is stay away from the middle, buy the lows, and sell the highs with my emphasis on selling the highs. So really, I'm looking for shorts right around this area right here. Right around that top, right, of that range. That's where you're going to get the best opportunities here to be a seller. Could I buy 90.25? Absolutely, you can do whatever you'd like. But we know that we have a downtrend, so be aware if you do buy that 90.25, make sure you run your levels off the high, right, so you know where to take your profit targets and take them quickly because you're going counter trend on that buy. What I would love to see here overnight is I would love, or early session tomorrow, I would love to see us make a lower low, possibly down to that target there at 88.41. Another one down there, 86.89. Love to see us, though, making a new lower low. If I can get a new lower low, then we'll line it up again and wait for another short, right? And so that will probably be the next best opportunity. If we get a lower low, we'll definitely be back to the drawing board here looking for additional sell setups as we go. Range-bound session is what I'm expecting here on crude tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see how this price action kind of develops tomorrow morning. And again, we'll be watching closely here to see what happens here tonight, overnight. On the crude, as you can see, we have tested that predefined target there at 90.48. Here's another really easy one, guys. If you don't want to wait to sell the highs of that wedge, all right, if you don't want to wait to sell that 93 area, as we just talked about on the 32 anchor, here's where you can get a lot more opportunities. Now, again, I want to remind you the big picture here right now, really important. We're going to look to sell on this 16. But remember where we're selling at, in the middle. So expect this area to be a little bit sloppier. And again, that 93 area is definitely where we would expect to see, right, the best selling opportunities in the long run right now. Short-term scalpers, you guys have a field day waiting for you tomorrow, or tonight, I should say. I've got reversal. Well, first of all, what's my trend, right? Go through the motions. Don't cheat here yet on me. What's my trend? Trend is down. How do I know? Lower lows, lower highs, red clouds. Where's my setup? I've got quite a few of them. I've got my 91.10. There's your reversal line setup. I've got 91.17 trigger zone setup. I have a trend line here, channel setup. 91.54, that's going to be a trigger zone setup. 91.60 is also a trigger zone setup. And then, of course, you got that double top area up top there, 91.92. I think the best double top area, though, is going to come at 92.24. So all the levels we have marked up overhead, be ready for those here this evening and tomorrow, because they're going to make for some excellent selling opportunities here as we go lower. As I've said a couple times already, guys, don't forget, we're going to be updating all these charts tomorrow morning in our live trade room once we open things up at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Speaking of that tomorrow, let's get ready for news that we have here overnight and into tomorrow's trading session. Today is Monday, September 22nd. Tomorrow is the 23rd. I have some very important news coming out of China here overnight. That is Red Star news out of China, and that is manufacturing Red Star news out of China, right? A triple whammy for us. Red Star news from China and for manufacturing. Last time I checked, it was not the extreme sports industry that was leading the way in China, right? No. It's not luxury 5-star hotels, although they do have quite a few of those, right? Many of them are completely empty in ghost cities with horrible, anyways. But the reality is that we've got to be ready here, okay, with this news, because it's manufacturing, right? Manufacturing is the industry in China. So be on lookout if you're trading in the Asian session or if you're in London. Make sure you're ready for the possible reaction here. Not possible reaction, almost a guarantee you'll get a good reaction to that. We'll be looking for it to line up with our trade setups and get us into those patterns. Tomorrow, on the 23rd, you're going to see quite a bit of news here. We got some minor news at 2:45 out of our good friends in France. We've got Red Star news at 3 a.m., Red Star news at 3:30, and then another one here at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. So literally starting with China tonight and then moving to France, over to Germany, and then to the rest of the EU at 4 a.m., we got some minor news out of Great Britain. We've got some same-store sales from Goldman Sachs tomorrow morning. Big news tomorrow morning, though, 8:30 a.m., we got retail sales. 9:45 a.m., we got manufacturing here in the U.S. 10 a.m., we've got the Richmond Fed. Okay, then we got some big news tomorrow night, which we'll talk about on tomorrow night's newsletter. So recapping the news here, I've got tonight at 9:45 p.m. Be ready for that. Tomorrow morning, 3 a.m., 3:30 a.m., 4 a.m. in Europe. And then we got 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:45, and 10 o'clock tomorrow in the U.S. session. And we, of course, will look forward to trading those reactions to those events together with all of our students. Lots of big news on the schedule that is sure to be a shot in the arm, right, for whatever price action we need ahead of tomorrow. Now remember, I've given you guys strategies here, whether price goes up, goes down, or goes sideways. So don't forget to come out and see us tomorrow morning in our live trade room. Don't forget, head over to the blog here at sidewaysmarkets.com and download all those charts. That way you are ready for the action tomorrow as well. And in the meantime, make sure you share this information with a friend and head on over here to SchoolOfTrade.com. We've got 3 different levels of membership. We have someone standing by here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help you guys out on live support if you need any help getting started. And don't forget, we offer a free trial. This free trial, you will learn more in this trial than you will, for free by the way, than you will in most other paid membership sites on the web. All right, and I'll prove it to you. Join the free trial, join any of our 3 levels of membership, and don't forget, you can always give us a call here in the office if you have any questions. Guys and gals, thank you so much for following along today. Thanks for joining me on my newsletter. My name is Joseph. Hope you guys had a great day. We'll see you all tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time in our live trade room at School of Trade. Don't forget to take me up on that free trial, and I'll see you guys then. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.